I think that we can all agree that there are so many games that come into the play process. So the first thing that I want to offer up as a way to conceptualize games is that it's not actually about the game. That the game itself, we're going to talk about metaphors of the game, but the game is simply the medium to help the child explore whatever it is that they're attempting to integrate. So the game itself, and many of you have heard me talk about this the way that I talk about toys in the playroom. It's just my perspective, which is that the toys themselves are not actually the healing agent in the room, right? The toy is the medium for the facilitation, if you will. How the child plays with it is ultimately what's important. So we're going to take that and we're going to extend that out over to games. So whether it's Trouble or Uno or Peekaboo or the structured therapeutic game or the obstacle course or whatever it is, yes, we're going to look at the metaphor of the game and why they chose that game. But what's really, really important to hone in on is how the child is playing the game. How the child sets up the game. Do they set up the game, or do they make the therapist set up the game? Do they want to play by the rules or not play by the rules? Are they wanting to cheat or not cheat? Do they stop the game halfway through? Do they speed the game up? The way that they approach the game is really the piece of the puzzle that we want to hone into as play therapists and clinicians, because that's really where the work is. So let's go ahead and just dive into this idea of using games as the therapeutic process. And I think, again, this is where sometimes as play therapists, we get a little stuck because the child will pull out the game and we think we're just supposed to play the game as the game is played. And I'm not saying don't do that. What I am saying, though, is that in the context of a play therapy session, particularly when you're working on a traumatic event or you're working on something that's happened in the child's life or something that's been really challenging for the child, that's probably not the time when you're actually doing social skills training. So social skills training would be very much in line with playing a game and learning how to follow the rules, learning how to give and take fairly, learning how to problem solve. And those may be skills that the child needs to learn. And so if you're at that part of the therapy, then awesome. Use games for that purpose. But many children will use games before they're at that point of the process. They'll use it as they're trying to integrate whatever the challenging experiences are in their lives. And that's a real distinction we need to make, because I may use games, for example, in a social skills group, and it's very much about teaching social skills. I may use a game in this way with a child. Let's say one of my kiddos, I'm actually doing this right now. So I've got a kiddo right now in my caseload who is on the spectrum. And we've done a huge part of the process working on some of the challenging experiences in this child's life. And we are now at the part of the process we're actually working on very specific relational skills. So in that context, when we're playing a game, I very much would be working on teaching, give and take, and helping the child become aware of me and aware of themselves, because that's where we are in the therapeutic process. But what I want us to really dive into is, well, how do we use the game when we're not quite there yet? When the game is just the medium as they're trying to integrate whatever it is that they're trying to work on in therapy that's challenging or is more trauma-oriented or something like that. So this is where we're going to look at games as part of the therapeutic process.